Kent from Kent's Paint Show, back with you again. So for those of you that don't know, I've now gone, well, pretty much professional painting. So most of my work now is commission work. A lot of it was already, but now it's above board, paying tax, and all that kind of stuff. So I've been pretty full on with the jobs that I have done. I've taken on another client, and I have two very large clients, one especially large, and he just turned up the other day, and I've painted, well, I don't know, 300 or 400, maybe more, Roman figures for him in the last 3 or 4 months, and he's just replaced them all. He's bought like these 92 Aventine cavalry that's in the latest box, and just boxes and boxes and boxes of or packets of Vitrix. So there's tons of stuff, but in all that, I've been wanting to collect and paint one of my armies, like an army for myself. So I ordered from Wargames Foundry. I ordered 120 foot and 15 cavalry for a Germanic army. I don't know what I'll base it for or anything. I've just wanted one for years. And because I've wanted one for years, I've decided that I would change some of the way that I paint and use this army to really start to go, okay, how can I improve things? So the first thing I decided I needed to improve, even though, I mean, for years now I've been painting my skin the same, exactly the same way, and everybody's happy with it. But down deep, I'm not. I think I can kind of do just a little bit better. So I've decided to change the way that I paint skin on this one. So I've taken out my base coat, which was Shadow Flesh from Villaggio, and I've gone to my second colour and used that as my first. So my first one is Panzer Ace's Flesh Base is now my first one. And then I'm washing it with Formula P3, and it is Flesh Wash. Now, when I first used that like 10 years ago, that song's about 10 years old, I hated it. Just absolutely. I just couldn't figure out why you would want to use it. But it's quite brown, almost, a brownish flesh wash. And so and as you can kind of see, it is pinky, but it's got a slight kind of brownish tinge. So you put that over it, and then you paint that one again as my first highlight. And then I'm taking that and I'm adding a flat flesh, probably about 40% of that one and 60% of the flesh base, and that's my next highlight. And then the flat flesh as a final highlight for detail. And rather than have I found with the shadow flesh, when I was finished, I had quite the contrast was quite stark. So I wanted it to blend just a little bit more, not to be quite so stark. So when you looked at them, it was like, you know, especially when there's a lot of skin, and you're like doing chest muscles and all that kind of stuff. I didn't want it to stand out quite as much. So in this very short video, because all I've done is I've done 4 guys and 3 cavalry yesterday, and that was pretty much my day. I spent them all just painting that and finishing them off. And I mean, I've painted the horses and everything, not just the flesh. But I don't know if it shows it. I've put one at the end where it's got like an old flesh, which is one of the pics. When I say old, it's like last week, and the one I did yesterday. I'm not quite sure the photo really shows it up quite as much as like when it's right in front of you. I really like it. I actually like thinking to myself, why haven't I done this years ago? So I did the 7 figures to see if I could, because I must admit, like I did a couple a little bit different to start with, and then I've redone a couple. So they all look the same, just to see if I can get a good consistency as well, because I don't want to paint the army and the consistency of the flesh is all over the place. So really pleased with it. So enough talking. I've been talking for 4 minutes and 39 seconds. So let's get on to the few pictures that we have of these guys, and let me know what you think. Hopefully the photos aren't too dark. I noticed on the camera the photos were a little bit darker, but I've got 120 infantry and another 12 cavalry to do, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of photos to come. Hey, take care, guys. Thanks for listening, and let me know what you think of the new flesh, and hey, maybe there's an improvement that you think I can make. Hey, cheers, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Take care. Cheers. So these are the very first of my new Germanic army, 120 infantry and 15 cav. I did these yesterday. I'm trying to paint everything just a little bit sharper, a little bit better than I normally try and paint to a really good standard, but I'm trying to lift these just that little bit more. I've been experimenting here, like the red on this guy here, and the red on this guy. This guy here, I've added more layers and more depth, and on this guy here with the blonde, I normally do it with an English uniform, which I've done as the base coat, but on the next layers I've added a lot more, then a wash, then I've done more highlights. So in a further video after this, I'll explain the colors and how I've come about doing the different here when I'm satisfied that that's exactly how I want it. Like on the brown here, I'm thinking I need to do just that little bit more, but this was all about, especially was all about getting the skin right, just so it's not so stark in between the muscle definition. I've got a photo just coming up. I'm not quite sure whether it really shows it, but if you have a look at the guy on the right, in between the muscles and down the throwing arm, you can see that dark flesh bits, in between the chest, that is so much different than the guy on the left, the guy holding the staff. So I'm hoping that I've got this right. I mean, the guy on the right, there's nothing wrong with him. It's just he just wasn't quite good enough for what I want. So hopefully you guys will agree that the skin on the guys that leading up were better.